It's officially the end of school and the school holidays have just begun. Welcome back to Tone's Caribbean Buddy, guys. Now you would think that with the start of the school holidays that I will be taking in some me time, relaxing, rejuvenating, getting my energy back, right? Wrong. This child had me going to a bookstore right after getting his report card from his school to get what? More books. He loves reading, especially the Diary of a Wimpy Kid series. So he decided to go to the bookstore to treat himself to a few of these books and get a little reading time in during the holidays. But before we get into today's session, which is fireside pizza at home from scratch, I just wanted to share with you his purchasing expedition today. He wanted to celebrate his promotion to a new class and decided to get some pizza, but guess what? There was no pizza. So I decided I am going to make fireside pizza at home from scratch. Now, pizza is something that we usually like to get whenever we come together, and not just us. All around the world, I think pizza is a treat that people find versatile, that can be shared among friends and family, and it makes for a treat that ensures everyone has a good old time because it's just so convenient. You could just pick apart the pieces and just enjoy the toppings on a nicely fresh baked crust. It's just a wonderful treat to share with everyone. Now, making pizzas at home from scratch is a regular occurrence, but making it on the fireside is something that I just recently started this year. I pretty much make everything from scratch, including my meat toppings. My meat of choice is usually chicken breast that I would usually wash out nicely, lime down, remove the skin, and then season with simply mustard and other ground seasonings, local of course, to create a tasty blend of chicken breast topping. Now you can get creative and use pretty much any meats, but at our house we don't buy processed meats. We pretty much like to use fresh cuts of meats, but you can experiment with minced beef or even fish as ideal meat toppings for your pizzas. Once your meat is seasoned, now it's time to cook it. Starting off with coconut oil to cook your meat is the best choice because it adds some flavor to the meat, and simply fry it lightly until cooked. Once your meat is cooked on one side, just simply turn it over on the other side to complete the cooking process. Once your meat is fully cooked, now it's time to cut it up into topping size pieces. Just simply cut it in strips and then cube the meat until they're the ideal size for your pizza toppings. Then simply drizzle with some honey if you want a sweety, salty taste to your finished topping. Now that your meat topping is all done, just simply set it aside to cool and start the chopping process of your chosen vegetables. just simply get creative. I love to use a lot of greens, of course tomatoes and other vegetables like onions and carrots, and of course melangine that tastes a bit like mushrooms, as well as a bit of sweet. I use pineapple. Yes, I love a Hawaiian pizza. So guys, this is the stage that you get creative and make the kind of pizza that you and your family will enjoy. If you're into more veggies, then use more veggies. If you love a lot of fruits on your pizza, use that. Just get creative and do what best suits you and your family. Of course, we use very little cheese. The cheese is just used to melt all the ingredients together, or all the toppings together. Now it's time for us to make our dough. I use a mix of all-purpose flour, cassava flour, and oat flour in my pizza mix, in addition to some turmeric powder for a slight yellow color, and of course my famous seed blend. If you're interested in my recipe for a pizza dough, check out the recipe down below in the description. So once the dough mixer has done its job, I just simply use my hands to complete the kneading process so that everything gets worked well and the dough is massaged properly in order to allow it to rise properly. Because it's an yeast dough, after 1 hour it's doubled in size, and then I re-knead it just to get some of that excess air out of the dough. Now when I make a pizza dough, I usually make enough for 2. So here I divide the dough into 2 pieces. One I set aside for a later day, and the one that I'm going to use, I re-knead it again so that I'm preparing it for laying it on the platen to lay the toppings on. Of course, the platen has to be well greased, and then I use my rolling pin to lay the dough flat. Because it's a granite surface, that platen just was not cooperating, but I got the job done. So at this stage, I love to add a little bit of flavor to the dough. So I add some barbecue sauce mixed in with ketchup. If you have a tomato paste, then you can mix these and just simply spread it out on the dough so that it makes a really nice surface to add your toppings on. So believe it or not, I have been asked this question on many occasions. How do you know when to add what ingredient? What should I add first? What should I add second? And even though I've done the research, I have not found anything, any article that suggests the ingredient that you ought to add first, second, third, fourth, fifth, blah, blah, blah. So I just use my instinct. I add my veggies first, then I add my cooked meat in the middle, and if I'm using fruits like the pineapple, I add that close to the end, and the tomatoes. Of course, the cheese gets added last. Why? Because I want the cheese to melt into the rest of the ingredients and form a nice sticky layer so that those other ingredients don't go anywhere. So that's pretty much it. And then of course I lay the platen in the pot with the pizza on top so that there's no mess on that fire side, and just simply cover it with the fire on top, and then of course you have the fire below that creates that perfect kitchen oven. Yes, to ensure that the baking of the pizza takes place. And after 30 minutes, you just check it to make sure the crust is fine. And then after 1 hour, you have a ready pizza all set to be eaten and enjoyed. Now that smokiness from the fireside may tempt you to eat more than one slice, but hey, after all, it's the school holidays and the pizza is there just to enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching.